Being a filmmaker or an artist was not really in my mind, but I think when I reached third year, akili yangu ikafunguka, ndio like hapa hivi tunaweza maliza hizi 4 years alafu maybe niende nipigane na wase sijui wangapi kutafuta the same jobs. My name is Kevin Outa and I am a documentary photographer and filmmaker. I can say that my life growing up was filled with love, fun and good memories, most of them. But in general, I can say that my family was very supportive, even from a very young age. Trying out different things, they have always supported me and worked with me all through my journey. And when I was younger, I really used to love drawing. So I think as time went on and I grew older, I reached a point where I did not draw anymore. But now when in campus, I decided now I can maybe start trying photography, because I loved how, from the work that I was seeing, I loved how people are using light and shadows to make things look real and interesting. So when I was in third year in the University of Nairobi, I got my first camera, and now when I was in campus, I would just walk around talking to people, asking them if they would like photos, and I also printed business cards that I would give around to people in case they would need my services. I got the courage and later on started walking around in town, but that wasn't as easy as I thought, because tao watu wako focused. Mtu anaenda mahali, wewe kama uendi mahali usikwe tao. Yeah, so I started out as a portrait photographer, doing mostly conceptual shoots, and yeah, building concepts around maybe words or ideas that I had, and shooting portraits. In terms of filmmaking, I started making videos, doing food content, going out to different restaurants, doing shoots for them, and now doing photo shoots for them, and also started slowly adding on my videos to the video side of it. In terms of being a filmmaker, I can say that I started off slowly from making food content to shifting now to actually shooting people, because I enjoy seeing people speak about what they're passionate about. And when you give somebody the chance to speak about what they're passionate about, wataongea. So I can say that's how I started making films. When I joined campus, I was studying economics and political science. So being a filmmaker or an artist was not really in my mind. But I think when I reached third year, akili yangu ikafunguka, ndio like hapa hivi tunaweza maliza hizi 4 years alafu maybe niende nipigane na wase sijui wangapi kutafuta the same jobs. So I decided to try something different. So I can say that I mostly started off doing photography, just trying to make something extra on the side. I can say some of the biggest challenges that I've experienced in my journey is that when people don't know you, people are not inclined to work with you. So you can have all the best ideas, but mtu atakuangalia kwa like, wewe umetoka wapi? Na unafanya nini hapa? So when people don't know you that much, it's really hard to get them to join what you're trying to push, because the idea that you have ni wewe uko nayo, iko ndani yako. So me coming to tell you that maybe tufanye shoot ya black and white, niko explainie alafu uko like your concept ni poa lakini sijui kama naweza ifanya. But the problem is not the concept, the problem is actually that labda ni mimi sijulikani. So but I think how I overcome that was that earlier on I used to try to get a lot of my friends to shoot with. So that was how I got myself firmly into now shooting portraits. And I think in this journey, the biggest lesson that I have learned is not to be afraid to evolve my art. Because where I started from, shooting conceptual portraits or food, is not where I am right now. Right now, because I do documentaries, I have gone through so many changes as a person, as a creative, and I feel like the journey is only as good as where you are right now, because hizo zingine zimepita. Okay, they are part of you, but zimepita. But where you are right now is the best place you can speak from. Yeah. So firstly, I think how I make my work known to people. Let's say I have an idea for a documentary, and what I've been doing recently is mostly doing documentaries with creatives, just trying to understand their creative process and how they work and why they work in the way that they do. So what I do mostly is maybe I get one person who is a friend of mine who is also in the creative space, and then I make like a proof of concept with them. So when I approach other people, it's easier for me to explain my idea by showing them what we can achieve by doing whatever we want to shoot. So when I approach someone, I usually have a pitch deck or a treatment ready. So I can spend days making a treatment without speaking to you first. And when I speak to you, I don't get like, it's okay. And then I repurpose your pitch deck for someone else. But now I usually have a pitch deck that outlines my entire process from start to end, including the editing, including maybe the sound that we'll use, including the storyboard as well, just to get you to understand better what is in my head. In terms of that, what I can say is, okay, not my best work, but the work that I enjoy sharing is a mini doc I did for my friend who makes candles. And I love that because aside from shooting, that was the first time that I got to do everything myself, to do the lighting, to do the sound. And it was in a space, in a very small space. So we had to work with what we had, and making that look good was challenging in a good way. So I can say that was, I think, my best work. I think earlier on in my career, I think it was in 2016, yes. That was the first instance I came across Cameras Africa. They were hosting, that year I think they hosted, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 workshops. They hosted 2 or 3 workshops that were a sort of learning experience for me. Because your time, like unajaribu kutafuta other people in the space, and the people who come to these workshops, utapata ndio kuna watu wako experienced, but mostly you get people who are also starting up. It's easier for you to kubanch up people, like, oh, mi sijui, unajua, unaona. So they hosted, I think, 2 or 3 workshops, and I think the biggest impact those workshops had for me was that they opened my mind to realize that I can achieve so much more with my photography and filmmaking, aside from maybe kufungua studio uko home ama kitu kama hiyo. They opened my mind to see that if I put in the right amount of effort, if I put in the work, I can achieve greater things on an international scale. I think what I love doing now is making documentaries, and seeing someone speak about kitu anapenda, sijui kama hiyo itainitoka, because leo utapata msee anapenda kupika, kesho upate msee anapenda kushona, alafu kesho kutwa upate msee anapenda kushoot kama wewe, unaona. Like, even if you get someone who is in the same space as you, akili zenyu haziko the same, you will get to see a side of maybe being a filmmaker that you have never seen before. So I think maybe in the next 10 years, my goal would be to be able to consistently make work that speaks to me, to be able to consistently create projects that will help other people find their voice or find their space in whatever they love doing. I think the biggest advice I would tell someone else is not to be afraid to put their work out there, and not to be afraid to put themselves out there as well. Because your work can only speak for you so much. Lakini wewe mwenyewe ndo unaweza jitetea. Unaweza kuja na movie zako 10 kutaka kunipresentia, watch, but through watching your movies, I can only understand a small bit about you. But when you actually put yourself out there, ukikuja useme, okay, niaje, I have these 10 movies. Before you watch them, I would like to talk you through whatever we're making or whatever I've made. So usiogope kuweka work yako huko nje, usiogope put yourself out there, and by this I mean make proposals to the kind of people you want to work with, to the brands that you want to work with, send them out. Wakikwambia no, lick wounds zako na uendelee. Yeah, but always put yourself out there. By putting yourself out there, you're putting yourself in a position that you can actually be able to create the kind of work that you want. Hata kama ni next year, utapata the opportunities that speak to you ama are meant for you. I think my one tip is to be where your feet are. By this I mean, in as much as we can focus on the future or focus on building whatever we want for the future, it is also important to be mindful of where you currently are right now, in your creative career, in your life as well. So by being where your feet are, it gives you a better understanding of where even you are in your journey, where you are mentally, where you are in your relationships with other people as well. And by being where you are, being where your feet are, you will get the opportunity to create the kind of work that you want and share it out as much as possible as well. Cameras Africa, equipping storytellers.